Well, good evening, everybody. It is I, Claude Bawles, here for another little mini hangout, I suppose. Just a short one tonight. We're trying to aim for about half an hour, that's all. We've been so many very long shows recently, and hope everybody's okay. I see I've Big Bad Mum has joined the show, so
Hi, Claude.
that's good. Yeah, how are you? You good?
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, today I sort of thought it would be interesting because, I did see that Ron Wyatt was being discussed by Kent Hovind and his sidekick, Stephen Boland, and they talked about the Ark of Discovery. No, sorry, the discovery of the Ark of the Covenant. Okay, I better get that right way around. In Israel, and of course, as you'll know, Ron was like the Indiana Jones of his church, which was the Seventh Day Adventist Church, and he just made so many sensational claims about astounding discoveries, which would
Very
probably
impressive
make him,
archaeological discovery.
it would make him the top, archaeologist in the world, which is quite good for
Ever.
someone who is
Yeah.
really a nurse. But that's fine, and his field of expertise was a nurse, anesthetist, and I'm sure he was very good at that. So, but that doesn't mean you're good at archaeology. So, the one that really struck my attention, that's discussed on Mr. Owen's channel, I've put a copy of it so people can have a look too, was that Ron had claimed to discover the Ark of the Covenant, and they were talking, Kent and Stephen, about the mercy seat and blood trickling down between the crack. And I just, I sort of got a bit lost in it all because it seemed like a fantastic tale,
Incredible.
It's like Ali Baba and the Arabian Nights. I don't know what you call them. Yeah,
Indiana Jones all over
Yeah,
again.
well, Indiana Jones. So I thought, wow, that's pretty incredible. So when they're talking about this, Stephen made a claim that something to the effect, because in case I don't get it exactly right, that Ron had gone down there and there was 6 other people went down at some stage. It's not clear when. One can only assume they were there to check on Ron, and they all died. So as though there was some sort of a mysterious element. Yeah, a curse, because that has been alleged, with those who visited to my mind, that's copying the old legends about the pharaohs and
the mummy's curse.
Yeah, so you go in there and you're suddenly cursed. So anyway, Stephen said that Ron had gone down and got 6 bodies out for the Israeli government, which I really found. I thought, my goodness, I would be asking a lot of questions at that point, and that you would think that this would be covered somewhere else, and I've had a job to find anything about it anywhere. So
did you find something about it?
Yes, I did, and funnily enough, there's a story written by because Ron was a Seventh-day Adventist. That's fine, that's his personal thing, but the people that mostly wrote against him were 2 Seventh-day Adventists, and there was Russell and Colin Standish were their names, and they did a very thorough expose of that. They were from Australia, and one was a physician and hospital administrator and a medical missionary, and the other founded
did
some
Ron Wyatt
college.
Oh, sorry, Clark.
Yep. No. Yeah.
I was just wondering did Ron Wyatt claim this in one of his books about finding the Ark of the Covenant? Because I remember, I remember hearing about it, but I don't know what the source is. I mean, Stephen Boland might have heard it from Ron Wyatt's wife, but
yeah. I think there's no doubt that Ron made those claims. Yeah, what is in doubt are the claims, So, yeah, but I couldn't. I think I did. There was something. If I did a search under Israel antiquities, Ark of Covenant and 6 bodies, but what came up was it was really a nothing, and I would have thought that would be major news. That would be, because it was, at the time when people are supposedly dying from them going down into the tomb. What was that British guy goes down into one of the tombs and he died, but let alone, and that was a big news. And this was 6 people. I thought it would be really a lot of news. So,
especially with the Ark of the Covenant involved.
Yeah, well, I think so. But Stephen talked about the Israeli government, some sort of things that they'd supposedly said or done or whatever. Well, I thought I better check this out, and it's actually the opposite. In 1996, a guy called Josias, who is the curator with the Israel Government Antiquities Authority in Jerusalem, issued the following statement. And this is what it's quite. Mr. Ron Wyatt is neither an archaeologist nor has he ever carried out a legally licensed investigation or excavation in Israel or Jerusalem. In order to excavate, one must have at least a Bachelor of Arts in biology, which he does not possess, it says, despite his claims to the contrary. Well, I couldn't be sure about it. And that's okay, because it begs the question, well, maybe he did an unlicensed excavation or an illegally one. Well, so let's forget that first.
In Israel, I mean,
but I don't think it would be possible. Yeah. But this next bit is the real bit. We are aware of his claims, which border on the absurd, as they have no scientific basis whatsoever, nor have they ever been published in a professional journal. They fall into the category of trash, which one finds in tabloids such as the National Enquirer, Sun, etc.
Yeah.
It is amazing that anyone would believe him. Well, I thought that's fairly damning, and that comes from the Israeli government representative. So,
right, that's an official, saying that, and he's being actually friendly, where he says it borders on the absurd.
Yes, well, I'd have gone a bit further. So he's trying to be nice,
right?
But he points out the facts. So I just feel disappointed when people need to do this, because there are enough wonderful archaeological things that are true, that finds that we can be amazed by without having to make this stuff up. Yeah,
and yet those finds are questioned in detail as to their ages by creationists. I mean, they'll say, their dating method's wrong, this and that, and have all sorts of questions. But when it comes to these antiquities from the Bible, there's no questions asked whatsoever. Accept it and believe it.
Yeah. So there's it goes on further. This particular story, which was written by Wayne Jackson in the Christian Courier, which I presume is a newspaper, and Wayne Jackson in the Christian Courier makes some pretty serious statements. In this brief review, he says, of the Standish Brothers book, we offer 2 devastating examples of hoaxes perpetrated by Ron Wyatt. Actually, the 90-plus examples touted by Wyatt and his followers make for a house of cards that falls under the weight of its own absurdity. Well, that guy's getting a bit more stuck in. And the bones and chariot wheels he talks about, and with that, they make a point that he claims to have gone down using simple recreational scuba equipment and discovered these wheels at about 200 feet in the Gulf. Okay?
Right.
But there's a slight problem. Ordinary scuba apparatus, recreational, only goes down to 125 to 130. So it sort of like rules that out in its own.
And that's like a professional scuba diver, that's going down to that depth, not Ron Wyatt.
I would be. I mean, it's a very scary thing, scuba diving if you're not careful, and of course you can die from it.
He didn't go scuba diving at all, more than likely.
No, probably not. I mean, so that talks about that, the bones and chariot wheels issue. There's two examples, and the other one is the blood of Christ, which is actually connected with this video we've just seen on the mercy seat and the discovery of the Ark of the Covenant. And so he claims that he located residue of the dried blood of Christ that had dripped onto the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant, located in the cave in Jerusalem. So this is where he's gone in. And this is what Stephen and Mr. Hovind talk about today quite a bit. And Stephen is quite sort of in awe of this. The blood was dried there.
Or something?
He said it was actually quite an unusual way he put it. I begin to wonder what he was going to talk about. If you listen to it again, it was quite unusual. Anyway, so this little story says that one of Wyatt's defenders claims samples were taken and returned to a Nashville, Tennessee, where Wyatt had the blood analyzed in a hospital laboratory. On another occasion, an interview with Russell Standish, he was a Seventh-day Adventist and a doctor, Wyatt claimed that the samples were studied in a laboratory in Jerusalem. Now, of course, Kent would say, oh, well, they were studied in both, because that's a standard thing. But anyway, which was it? Jerusalem or Nashville? And then what really nails it, where was the lab? Which lab? Where are the samples?
Where's the report?
Yeah. The claim was made that there were copious amounts of blood that had fallen down. Where are the test records? Can we get some other samples from this? Is there any evidence at all of such a discovery? Why was the evidence never brought forth for critical and scientific examination? So one explanation that Wyatt's people gave was, the Israeli authorities did not want the story released. This is a usual thing. Because of the location of the Ark was very close to an Islamic sacred site, and the announcement might have caused violence between Jewish and Muslim people. But at the same time, Wyatt was blabbing the story of the discovery in Europe, North America, Australia, and New Zealand, with no censure from the Israeli government, apparently. So that doesn't stack up. They weren't trying to keep it quiet. They just thought it was ridiculous. And this man, Mr. Zeus of the Israeli Antiquities Government Department, provided full authority for the public release of the report on Wyatt's blood samples. So he gave permission for Wyatt, you go ahead and release this. And of course, we know it was never released because it sort of never happened. So,
when did Ron Wyatt die in relation to this Ark of the Covenant? Do you have any idea?
Well, it was a few years later.
Okay.
Quite a few years later, I think.
Yeah, so where's the report?
In 1999.
Where's the lab report?
Yeah, well, he's left a museum, so you'd think that there would, this museum that would have that. Now, he did also claim at one stage, according to this story, that an angel prohibited him from providing the details of this phenomenal discovery, which is very convenient. He's found this, but an angel has told me not to,
It's always a demon or an angel that's used as the foil,
Yes. Oh, well, I always blame Missing Mod, don't I, Missing Mod? I always, Missing Mod made me do it. But it's like this here, this is meant to be a serious thing. And Mr. Wyatt is claiming that an angel lady, or could have been a man for all I know, prohibited him giving this phenomenal discovery. So, and at one point he even claimed to have seen Christ. And incidentally, the reason why Wyatt knew he saw Jesus was because the Lord was dressed exactly as Alan White. Now, Alan White was the founder of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
So he was in 19th century garb?
Well, it wouldn't even be 19th century. It would be if it was...
Weren't the Seventh Day from the 19th century?
Oh, yeah, yes, that's a point. Yes.
The Doomsdayer.
Yeah. So saw him in a vision. The way that Ellen White saw him in a vision with a blue border at the hem of his garment.
Oh,
Well,
I
I
see.
don't know. I don't know if Jesus would have worn a blue border or not. To me, it doesn't really matter. But it just gives you a bit of an idea of. He just made so many different claims and fairly major ones, which.
Well, I had this discussion with Father Charles, and Father Charles was saying that he thinks that Ron Wyatt believed in the things that he was doing and saying. But my point was, I think he was concocting it all, and he was a complete charlatan, because I don't believe that he scuba dived. I don't believe he traveled to the areas that he claimed to have traveled, and I don't agree that he was digging.
Yeah. So you would have to have either some sort of a major problem with illness in his mind, or he is just making it up. And one would appear to think there was money would have been made. So there is a book. You can get it as an ebook. It's called Holy Relics or Revelation. It's from Heartland Publications. It's available on as an ebook. You just look it up, Holy Relics or Revelation. And that's where a lot of the quotes. No. This one is critical of him. These are by Russell.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Russell Standish, who was a doctor. Yeah. So Holy Relics or Revelation. And the author's name was Standish, and he was the so Heartland Publication seems to have it at the reasonable price. On Amazon, it's very expensive, $120 for Australian Amazon, but in Heartland, it's an ebook. So interesting, though, isn't it? So all these things I've talked about have come from there. And so, you know, if people think that I'm just pulling this out of me, no, I'm not. I've looked it all up. I've done the research. So, yeah.
Well, this isn't a case of just atheists being critical of a creationist claims. I mean, there are a lot of Christians, and including creationists, that think Ron Wyatt is a charlatan.
Well, even, you know, the guy who built that Noah's Ark, Ken Am, whatever, you know, and I don't have anything to hold for him about that ark. I think it's a huge money-making venture, but even he disputes all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, there can
Does
only
he
be
dispute
one.
all of Ron Wyatt's claims?
Yes, I believe he's one of the ones, you know, and the creation ministry, whatever. But yeah, Kent's supportive of him, but most of the
I wonder what
others
Eric Hovind thinks about it.
Yeah, it's very hard to say on that one. Maybe we could get him on for an interview. Well, maybe not.
It'd be good.
It would be good. Yeah, it would just be nice to know. But so we're not just being the typical terrible atheists pouring scorn and being whatever scoffers, as Achilles would say, mockers. We are actually taking the side of a number of people who've, you know, expressed concern about it. Yeah. So I'm not sort of not doing it just to be a difficult Claude. I'm trying to be reasonable about it.
Can you play your video, Claude?
Yeah, let me have a look, see? Yeah. Looky. Okay. 1 minute. I'm just going to. So.
I want to hear what they say about that blood, because I thought they said it was kind of, you know, somebody said it was dried blood, but then I thought in the video, Bolin said it was like viscous or something.
Yeah. And this article that I've read talks about there being actually quite a bit of it. So, yeah, there's obviously a number of little contradictions there. So here we go. I'm just going to put this up here. And go back to the beginning. I'm going to share my screen, Big Bad Mama. I don't look so foolish when I talk my way through it, perhaps. Do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Right. Can you just see on there or not?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Now I'm going to put the volume up and I'm now going to play it. So we may as well just listen to the end. It's only 1.5 minutes long. Is that all right?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
And there, underneath, right where Christ was crucified, about 25 or 30 feet below, is a cave, and there's the Ark of the Covenant.
So this is the most beautiful part. On top of the Ark of the Covenant, which is Christ's throne on earth, right? There is the sticky leftover residue of the blood of Christ to this day that has come down through the crack and landed on top of the mercy seat.
So when he crucified, his blood ran down. The Bible says there was an earthquake and the rocks rent. That means they ripped. So his blood ran down through the crack and dripped right on the mercy seat. All that time, the angels were looking at. They're looking for one thing. And once a year, the high priest would go in, sprinkle blood on the mercy seat. Inside, under the mercy seat, was the 10 Commandments and the Aaron's rod that budded and a little bowl of manna. And I got little models of it in here. Okay.
And Ron was actually blessed with the ability to touch the 10 Commandments. He held one in his hand.
Well, he told me, he said he fainted when he saw what was in there and realized, oh no. He said, only the high priest can touch this. But then he said, wait a minute, I'm a born again Christian. I'm blood bought. So he actually opened the lid and saw, and I turned it over to the Jewish government. I don't think they've touched it yet. They're afraid to touch it.
Yeah, no, they sent a team in there on one of Ron's visits back, and 6 men who had gone in there to try to remove it had died. And the government was so scared they wouldn't even go in there to retrieve the bodies. So they asked Ron Wyatt to go in there, and he pulled the bodies out one at a time so they could bury them.
Interesting.
It was sticky still after thousands of years.
Yeah. Yes.
The 6 bodies. So Ron Wyatt left the Ark of the Covenant down there, and 6 people after him came and tried to retrieve it, and then they died somehow. And then Ron Wyatt was the only one that could go down there and retrieve the bodies. Am I hearing that right?
By the looks of it, yeah. When he was there, the 6 Israelis went down, and the Israeli government got him to go and retrieve the bodies. Yeah.
We don't know how they died. They just died.
Yeah, and 6 of them, you know.
The curse of the covenant.
Wow. But I don't think there was. You know, it's too reminiscent of the Pharaoh's tombs, doesn't it?
It sounds exactly the same. All the
Jones,
Egyptologists that died after, I don't know if it was King Tut or somebody before him, or but supposedly several Egyptologists died somehow. But it's exactly the same story.
So yes, I just thought that was an interesting one. So yeah,
I have to read that article, and see what they say about. Do they mention Sodom and Gomorrah in that article?
Yes, I think they did. There's a whole lot of stuff here. So this one, can I put a link in the? Oh no, I haven't. But if you look up Ron Wyatt, Indiana Jones of the SDA Church, the story that I've read from will come out of it. But they refer to this book by the Standish brothers, the one that I mentioned before, and Holy Relics or Our Revelation. And so I think that would be a good one to read for people who really do want to know actually what went on. So, yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting story because it's so fantastic that somebody would make that up, and even more so that a group of people would believe it.
Yeah, I think it's sort of, it falls into the realms of chemtrails and other things that
It's even more.
goes
It's
down.
even more so though, because it goes to the
Yeah.
heart of their religion too. I
Yes.
mean, it's things that it's the biggest things. If those things were true in the Bible, literally true and not just metaphorical, it claims that these are have all literally been found by Ron Wyatt.
Yeah.
Which, just to claim that, I mean, he's like do you know who P.T. Barnum was? He did the sideshows and stuff back in the 19th century. He said I think he said there's a sucker born every minute. I know that sounds mean, but I just don't know how people believe this stuff.
Yeah. Our good friend Missing Mod. Hello, Mod. She's in the comments. And Mod says, Claude, what if you went over there and saw it myself? What would you think if you'd seen these biblical things? Well, I'd be a little bit more suspicious because, in fact, I have traveled in the Holy Land and I saw more pieces of the original cross, that would build hundreds of crosses for sale at the different shops over there in the Via Dolorosa. Outside Jerusalem. This was many years ago. I went there, and it was fascinating. But I don't just believe everything, when I'm told this. And there's too many problems with these discoveries to believe it. I think that's the thing,
Just
so
seeing
that's
a
why
sulfur ball.
I think it's But yes, if it was true, of course, that would be quite different. What if it is real? Well, you can say that, like if we always joke about my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow from my leprechaun. We could say, what if it's real? But it's not. It's just, and it's never going to be real. I think, anyway. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Well, the Israeli government has built quite a lucrative tourist industry off of Christians that believe these things. And so when people say, well, the Israeli government accepts these things as the place where Jesus was crucified, etc., they just want Christians to come over and visit the Holy Land because it's good for their country. I don't think they believe it themselves, the government officials. I mean, they're not Christian, for one thing. But if you see one of these, like a sulfur ball, and somebody claims that this is from Sodom and Gomorrah, well, where's the paperwork that ties the two together? Just saying something is tied to a site that's mentioned in the Bible is not enough. It doesn't pass any sort of scrutiny, scientific scrutiny.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's just my thoughts. And Missing Mod has just pointed out the Jews are not Christian, which is right. So, Mod, can you tell me in the comments, when are you doing a show next? Are you doing one tomorrow? Yes, so I didn't want to talk too much longer today. It was just a quick one. Quick sort of look at the balls here.
The chat's
Rod
going
said,
crazy.
I sent you the video of the guy pulling one out of the wall himself. Right. I'm just going to have a look in my email.
Is this the sulfur ball?
I'm not sure. Mod, have you just sent me something now? Or
I mean, if there's somebody pulling a sulfur ball out of somewhere, that doesn't tie it to Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible.
No, she sent it to you, Big Bad Mama. But I'm happy to look at that. I'm a bit short of time today, but I'm happy to look at that one day. I think that'd be quite interesting. So maybe either Mod can send that to me by email, or you can, and we can discuss these things too. Because I think this is quite a good discussion today. Nobody's getting angry or anything. We're just talking things through, and I guess I'm a skeptical naturally person. But I know many Christians are skeptical about this particular claim too. They want to make sure they're not being, gullible about it, I suppose. Yeah.
It's good to be skeptical about these
Yes.
things.
Yeah. So I'm going to say good night to everybody. I want to thank the people in the comments too. Sorry, it's not a long show, but it has been a long day for our community. There've been many different shows. It started with Father Charles, and then went to Gangster Ghost. So poor old Ghost must be exhausted. And I didn't even stay for the whole thing. I just watched some of it, of each one. But it's very nice that it's going so good.
Right.
Okay, so I'll say good night, everybody. And we'll
Good night,
talk again
everybody in the
another
chat.
day.
Missy Maud, I saw Justin out there,
Yeah.
and Claude, thank you
Yeah.
for having
No
me on
worries.
today.
No worries. Good night, everybody. Yeah.